So what is it like to shoot a 30-year-old film camera in a snowstorm when it's 9 degrees out in New York City? Watch this video and you'll see. All right. Just heading out into Snowpocalypse 2026. It's around 9:20 in the morning. Gonna try to get some pictures in the snow. It's gonna turn into sleet later, which is no fun for film cameras especially, so I'm gonna get out here and check it out now. Morning. One of the best things about walking around in the snow in New York City is no cars, or very few. Pretty much, you know, you'll see some cabs out, but the streets are pretty chill, so you can just walk down the middle of the street. You can walk down Broadway and not worried about getting run over, which even at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, is not a good idea when it's not like this outside. So, apologies for the sound quality if it's not that great. I decided not to wear a mic because I thought I would just lose it in all this snow, so I'm using the on-mic camera. So it might be a little noisy. Might be a lot noisy. So I'm in Times Square, which normally I would not be caught dead in Times Square, but I thought maybe with all the snow that the neon, all the signage here would kind of cast an interesting effect on all the snow and be kind of reflective and glowy. And it is, but I don't think it's that interesting photographically, which is why I never come down here. So I'm gonna head downtown to Chinatown, I think, and Soho, see what's down there. I always end up shooting down there. It's old habits die hard. I'm old. I'm an old man. I'm cold. And I'm old. I'm old enough to remember what democracy actually looks like. That's how old I am. I never really come to Times Square because it's obviously it's very touristy. I'm sure that if I push myself, I could find something interesting photographically down here, but it's just kind of cheese, so I never really come down here at all. But in the snow, it's kind of cool. I'm gonna grab the Q train, I think, and head downtown, where it's a little sparser and more interesting photographically. Hit Chinatown on the Lower East Side. Anyway, cold. Never been so happy to be inside a subway station in my life. It is nasty out there. All right, so we're down in Chinatown. I hooked up with Purcell. What's up, man?
Yo.
It is hella cold out here, but we're doing our best. Shooting on the MP with a little 800T. We're gonna get out of the middle of the street so we don't get run over, because this is what's coming. All right, this is hardcore New York street photography right here. The Snowpocalypse. And we are all wearing eyeglasses and all having problems seeing because our shit's getting all fogged up. You shooting film or did? Oh, the M6.
All film.
Yeah, me too. Got the MP and the R9, although the R9 is getting freezing up a little bit.
Yeah, this one, when I gotta hit the shutter, sometimes it's a little frozen.
Yeah. Same. So I think we're gonna head down towards Dime and see what's happening that way. You down?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, we'll head down that way. Okay, it is really rough out here. Really cold. Hooked up with Sean Bruce and Purcell. We're all out here suffering for the art. Yo, what's up, Sean?
I can't see and I can't feel my fingers, so I'm just assuming I'm gonna load this right.
What are you loading up?
It kept me at 400.
Oh, shooting black and white today.
Yeah.
Yo. Well, you can't tell by the way I use my walk, my woman van. Down the top. All right, so Lower East Side now. We've had some adventures and misadventures. I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to shoot. Everybody's feeling real cold. But we're out here. We're doing it. Anyway, onwards. We were just laughing because there's all this stuff on social media, you know, people say, oh, like people don't use their cameras. And almost everybody we've seen out here today is rocking a Leica. Sal's out here with his Fuji as usual. And I got my MP film right now. Hopefully the film don't break. Anyway, Soho is quiet. Beautiful out though. transitioning to ice now. Probably hear the wind noise. I think when I finish this next six frames, I'm gonna call it, because it's getting really brutal out here. Really unhospitable. Nasty. This is nasty, man. Damn. Whew. It's funny, one of those cliches about film photography is, oh, it slows you down. When you're shooting film in a blizzard, you know, when the temperature on the bus stop said 9 degrees and that was without the wind chill, that slowed me down. And I was out for a long time. I dressed appropriately, had a heated vest on, and, you know, all my cold weather gear. But after a certain amount of time, I was just done. Probably the hardest thing about shooting film in a snowstorm is your equipment freezing up, the film, because it's a physical thing, you know, not responding well to the low temperatures. Having to load a camera, unload a camera, rewind a camera. It's not the best weather for that, but I don't really remember a lot of that when I'm looking at the pictures. I'm just glad I got the pictures. You know, there's a lot of pictures out there taken in kind of like golden hour, perfect light. There's a lot that you kind of hear when you're learning photography, when you're listening to the art of photography, about how important light is. A good light makes a good photograph. And this is true, and you can take amazing pictures if you pay attention to that. But the light and the weather don't always cooperate. And there are plenty of pictures to be made when the weather ain't great and when the light is shitty. And somebody's got to take those pictures. And yeah, those pictures will look different. They might not be aesthetically amazing, but you can say things even when the light isn't good. And I think that's kind of what these pictures are about. They have a certain stillness to them. I think the way that the snowflakes are going across some of the frames, it almost looks like pointillism, if you're aware of pointillism in painting. It gives it a certain kind of an abstraction. Obviously, there's a lot of contrast because you're dealing with, you know, bright white and then the colors. So I think it can make for interesting pictures. The kind of cool thing about these photographs, which I developed using something called an Ago by Vintage Visual, which is kind of a rotary tank processing machine with a built-in timer and a thermometer, so you can do color development pretty easily at home. Did them in a Cinestill C41 kit, and shot 2 rolls of film, 36 exposures each. But you know, when I went through the pictures, I didn't know if I had really gotten anything usable, because the weather was so rough. It was kind of like I was pointing my camera at things that interested me, but I just didn't know if the results were going to be any good at all. And I got some pictures that I thought were pretty good, and I posted them on social media, and surprisingly, kind of almost like shockingly, the pictures have gotten more engagement and more of a response than almost anything I've ever posted on social media. So there's something about them that people seem to like. I think what it is I don't know. I don't really try to tell stories when I take pictures, but I think that there's kind of just like a loneliness, and it kind of speaks to the place. The response to these pictures, I mean, they're very New York, obviously. There's just the color palette is kind of cool. But I think also one of the things that was really cool was I got this great response from the street art community, from the graffiti community in New York and around the world. Like a lot of people who are taggers and painters shared the photos, responded to the photos, because, you know, there's tags. Gotta make sure I don't get run over by this truck. I'm walking on the East River Esplanade. You would think I don't have to deal with traffic, but hey, this is New York, there's traffic, even on a pedestrian walkway. But I think these taggers and painters see their work in the backdrop and on these buildings, especially in those neighborhoods. There's a lot of graffiti in those neighborhoods, and they shared it. So I think that's been part of what the response has been about. It was really kind of an affirmation for me that going out and suffering, because it was miserable. There was nothing physically pleasant about photographing in this weather for that period of time. But sometimes when you want to get certain types of pictures, you have to deal with light that maybe isn't great, weather that isn't great, and you end up getting something that you couldn't have otherwise gotten. I hope you see that in the pictures. Would love to hear your comments below, and would love to hear about any experiences you might have had shooting in bad weather, shooting under adverse conditions, and coming up with a result that was better than maybe you thought it was going to be. Because that's what this was all about for me. It was like, I really hope I get something decent, and then I got pictures that I really love and a lot of people have really responded to, which kind of blew me away. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the pictures. Thanks for watching. And if you want to see any more of my work, you can check me out on Instagram at The Trickness. Thanks. Peace.